information. If one. Okay.
Yeah. No, I go by this right here. This is right here. This more accurate time. Yeah, yeah. Yep.
It says Hilton, New Orleans, but if it's 724 through 726, I thought it
What?
was the 28th.
Yeah. Hold on. Good evening, all. Welcome to Assumption Parish School Board for the month of July. We'll begin with roll call by the superintendent. I will do the board prayer, and Mr. Myers will lead us into the pledge.
Mr. Lewis,
Here.
Mr. Meyer, Mrs. Barra, Ms. Fletcher Mickens, Mr. Robinson, Mr. Washington, Mrs. Hood, Mrs. Arso, Mrs. Dugas.
Here.
Mr. President, you have a quorum.
Thank you, sir. The agenda will be followed as presented. Dear God, we thank you for this blessed day. Thank you for allowing me, this board, and the parishioners of Assumption Parish for being part of your wondrous gift of this new day. We ask that your word of hope give us strength to face the challenges of school governance. Help us, dear Lord, to govern with courage and integrity. Help us to find peace and comfort in our decisions that will positively impact our school district. May the children of our district be the benefactors of the wisdom and guidance you bestow upon this board. As we seek your divine inspiration, we pray for the renewed hope, peace, comfort for a brighter tomorrow. For these we pray. Amen. Dear Lord, we ask that you humbly watch over our fellow board member, Ms. Bambi Hood, who is currently in the hospital. Please, dear Lord, we ask that you, bring her peace and comfort and return her home to us safely and sound. These and many blessings we ask in his name, sake through Christ our Lord. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Robinson, second by Ms. Dugas. All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. Motion carried. Next, motion to adopt the consent agenda. Motion by Ms. Uso, second by Mr. Washington. Questions or comments? Hearing none. Those in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. Motion carried. Next, under reports and recognition, receive administrative personnel report. Each of us have a copy of that report in our files. View it at your leisure. Next, recognize businesses for donations to the Ready Start Network.
Thank you, Mr. President. We're going to have Ms. Dugas, Ms. Rachel. She's going to come up. We are very pleased to announce in support of our Ready Start Network, all of the businesses that really truly believe in the work that we're doing, and we just want to show a sign of appreciation. So, Ms. Rachel.
Good evening. I'd like to invite Mr. Ron Alcorn to come up with me. Mr. Ron is the police
Your little red button.
He is a police jury member, and he is a member of our leadership team for Ready Start Network. He took the lead on our fundraising. That was a required component of the grant. We were required to fundraise 15% of the first year of funding. He did a phenomenal job representing early childhood and thoroughly explaining the blueprint to various groups. So we appreciate everything that he has done for us. And at this time, we'd like to recognize the businesses who have made a financial contribution to supporting us thus far. Lula Westfield. And Miss Linda, you want to get a picture? You want to? Yes. Yes. Thank you so much. Oh, wait. Pierreport Bell River Business Group. CJ Savoy Consulting and Engineering. And Mr. Honore, thank you for coming down. Mr. Honore is also a member of our Ready Start leadership team. Mr. Dennis Landry. The First Bank. And I must say, the First Bank was a very pleasant surprise. We had the honor of presenting to the Pierreport Bell River Business Group, and evidently they reached out on our behalf to all of their membership, and they made a donation for us. GIS Engineering. And Gallagher Insurance. Thank you so very much.
Come on over, we're gonna get one big picture over here. Come on, stop.
And Mr. Ron wants me to make sure I announce that we're not finished with our fundraising. There are a few other businesses who have committed. They just haven't sent the check yet. And there are a few others that we're going to solicit because they showed some interest. Very exciting.
I'm just turning this way. Thank y'all.
Thank you, thank you.
Welcome.
Again, thank to all the businesses that contributed to this Ready Start network. Mr. Alcon, thank you for your initiative. Really appreciate it, man. Thank you very much. Next, receive update on enrollment and classroom location for Head Start and pre-K.
I'd like to give an update of where we are with our early childhood enrollment and where we're going to have classrooms placed next school year. The chart may seem a little complicated, but I wanted to give all of the information. So I'm going to kind of explain it, and I'll be happy to take any questions that you might have. So you'll look at the top of the chart. We have the location, so that's all of our schools, the number of processed pre-K applications, the number of incomplete pre-K applications. If someone gives us an application for pre-K, it's going to end up complete because we allow any child with an application to come into preschool. It's universal pre-K. Then you'll see the processed and accepted Head Start applications. So those children have already been placed in classrooms. Processed and waiting list. That means that they were income eligible, but there was no spots available left at that location because we can only take 17 in a Head Start classroom. The next column is the over-income applications, and just as a reminder, towards the end of July is when we look at our over-income applications, and we still have those rated on a rubric. We just can't allow them in initially because Head Start is an income-based program. So once we have exhausted all of our income-eligible kids, then we're allowed to go to the over-income, and we can accept up to 10% over-income. So we have 102 students, so it's 10 children across the parish. And then incomplete Head Start applications. Now, just because it's incomplete doesn't mean it's going to qualify, because if the income eligibility proof is what's missing, we don't know if it's going to fall into the over income or income eligible. And then I did put a final column of daycare just so that you're aware, because we have 2 type 3 centers in our network now, we do accept applications for daycare, and these are the number of pending slots. Once that Ready Start money comes through, we can offer the daycares an opportunity to have these children serviced as a diverse delivery.
Can you tell me why some areas don't have any kids that have to apply for the daycare?
Well, correct. I looked at where their address was to figure out where they would fall, but we're going to offer for them to do diverse delivery either at the daycare center if it can fit, or after I explain everything, you're going to see that there's some classroom availability that we can offer as a micro center. But just for your point of knowledge, I wanted you to know where the kids live that had filled out the application. But it's only offered to the 2 daycares that we have.
And that is,
Cribs to Crayons and Petite Ami.
Ms. Rachel, question. You said 10 kids over 10%, so 10 kids over the parish or 10 kids per?
10% of the entire program can be over income, so there's 102 slots, so it's 10 children across the entire parish.
Okay. How you decide which one? Because it's like 19.
How do we determine?
Determine, yeah, because it's 19 kids. Yeah. How is it determined?
So I think you might be looking in the pre-K column. Look at the Head Start column. So process and accepted Head Start applications.
Okay.
The pre-K column is our 4-year-olds, and in Assumption Parish, since I can remember, we've always had universal pre-K, which means we find a funding source and we don't deny any 4-year-old child to come to school. And it's all funded through grant money, various grant funds, so LA4, Title I, 8G, and Head Start can also be a funding source, because MFP money doesn't start until kindergarten. So we always find a spot for the 4-year-olds. It's the 3-year-olds that we only have enough room for 102, but 4-year-olds always take priority. So if you're in a situation like Bayou Lewis is a good example, there's 20 seats in the 4-year-old room and 17 seats in the Head Start room. But if 23 kids want to be in preschool, then we'll let the 20 that first come in the 4-year-old room, and then we'll take the other 3 and put them in the Head Start room.
Okay, okay.
So 3-year-olds are allowed to come to school if there's availability. 4-year-olds have never been denied. Okay? All right, so you can glance across and see where our applications fall and how many we have. And then I made a chart of where we're going to be placing classrooms next year. So you can see the pre-K classrooms and the Head Start classrooms. The thing to note is that in Napoleonville next year, we're only going to have 2 preschool classrooms. In the past, we've had 3. But we're going to move one of the Belrose Head Start classrooms to Napoleonville. And the reason being is for several years now, we've bused kids from Napoleonville to Belrose to fill the Belrose seats. And even with busing kids last year, we weren't able to fill all of the slots. And so Mr. Honore can speak just as well as I can, because he just went through monitoring with me. If you don't fill your seats, eventually you lose them. And we certainly don't want that to happen to the district. So the viable thing is to move the classroom to Napoleonville. You'll see that we have too many preschoolers, so we'll put some of those preschoolers who are income eligible in the Head Start class, And then we'll be able to take those waiting list kids and put them into the class. And then you'll notice that Libertyville even has some waiting list kids. They may want to come to Napoleonville. So it's a good central location for that, which means that would open up a daycare-ready room in Belrose, that if we have the need, we could offer that to one of the daycares for a diverse delivery. And that would be funded with those Ready Start funds that our local businesses really helped us out so that we have that availability. So after this presentation, we will move forward with getting that Napoleonville room licensed, because currently it isn't. So we'll have to reach out to daycare licensing, the Board of Health, and the fire marshal, and get that room licensed. And it will be an extra classroom for our current daycare license at Napoleonville. And then we'll go ahead and close the extra classroom in Belrose. And then at that point, it would be eligible for one of the daycares to go and have it licensed under their daycare.
So if a child from Libertyville wants to come to Napoleonville, will you have transportation available for that child?
At this time, no. That doesn't mean that that can't change, but at this time, no.
Rachel, how long that process takes to get that school ready for the school year?
The room is ready. We just never proceeded with getting licensed. You can't have licensing come and check a room out without actually opening it. So I didn't want to open a daycare room if we weren't going to use it. So we kind of had to wait and see where the application need was. And then once we established where the need would be, now it's time to move on it. So I'm not quite sure how long it would take, but do remember that we do have the room in Belrose. So if we have to start somewhere and then move, I mean, we have flexibilities to service children. And Ms. Dugas, if we would ever want to consider transportation, we can. We just need to remember that Head Start children, 3-year-olds, cannot ride a regular school bus. So it would require special transportation to get those kids, so they'd have to have a driver and an attendant and a bus with seatbelts and all of the training. So it's not impossible, it's just that's what we would have to do. Any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Rachel.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Next on reports and recognition, I received a report on the summer school.
Thank you, Mr. President. We're truly excited. We're finishing our summer programming. We called it this year's summer camp. And we were able to service students across our district and also abide by the state laws and the rules that we have to follow. So at this time, I'm asking Mrs. Brittany Allen to give us a summer school report.
Good evening, everyone. Let me grab. Back in March, a summer camp committee was formed, and the committee consisted of administrators, teachers, master teachers, and district personnel. And what we did back in March is we used state guidance to plan out our entire summer camp program. This year, last year we had 6 sites that we offered summer camp at. This year, we offered it at 4 sites. Pierreport Elementary, Napoleonville Primary, Libertyville Primary, and Napoleonville Middle. Kindergarten through 6th grade students reported to the primary sites. So Belrose Primary and Belrose Middle students reported to Napoleonville Primary. Libertyville Primary, Bayou Lewis, and Libertyville Middle students reported to Libertyville Primary. And then K through 6 students remained at Pierreport. All 7th and 8th graders across the district were at the Napoleonville Middle site. At our primary sites, we held summer camp from 7:30 in the morning to 12:30. And at the Napoleonville Middle site, our middle school site, we held it from 7:45 to 12:45. Summer camp started June 6th. the Monday, and it ended last Thursday, June 30th. We served breakfast and lunch each day to our students. Our enrollment at all 4 sites, we had a site coordinator that was kind of like the supervisor administrator that ran summer camp. Our number of staff members total equated to 74. We had 372 students sign up for summer camp, and 262 consistently came throughout the entire course of the summer program, which is up 18% from what we had last year. So the summer camp committee really wanted to increase student attendance, so you'll get to see that that is one of the strengths, that we offered student incentives, and we had a theme each week to try and increase student attendance. And of course, it wasn't as high, or an increase as high as we wanted to go, but it was still an increase of 18%. The scope of work for our attendance and schedules, each site was required to have a student attendance sheet to track student attendance, because we have to report that out to the state. Staff attendance sheet, so that we could correlate that with our timesheets. And then each site coordinator was responsible to have a daily schedule, and here's just an example of Lavityville primary schedule. So we offered 90 minutes of ELA instruction a day for students, 90 minutes of math instruction, and then this year, which was new and which our kids loved, you'll see in our survey data, we offered STEM for 60 minutes when they went to specials. So our math curricular process, the state gave guidance for school systems to use Zearn, which is a state-approved Tier 1 curriculum. The committee identified, Zearn has several different modules or missions of content that we could have taught. The committee went through each mission and identified the most important content to teach, since we only had 15 days to teach students. So we prioritized what was the most important content students needed to master by the end of summer camp. Assessments, a pre and post assessment was given to students, and then exit tickets were administered daily to determine student mastery, and it was tracked. So here's just an example of Zearn lesson, a pre-post assessment, and then a tracking of our student data for math. For kindergarten through 2nd grade ELA, we used our expeditionary learning curriculum. We used our end-of-year benchmark results for our students, and they're placed in micro phases to help us differentiate. So our teachers used that assessment to group the kids according to their ability and differentiate instruction. And as you can see, this was our tracking that we used to track kids' progress. And then last but not least, 3rd through 8th grade ELA, the state guidance was for school systems to identify a guidebooks unit that wasn't taught during the course of the school year, and to prioritize the content within the guidebooks unit. So as our pre-post test, we gave the guidebooks code read task and culminating writing task. And then we taught the guidebooks unit that the state suggested, and then we tracked students' progress from pre to post as well as daily. This is what happened during specials. So our district purchased STEM kits for every grade level, and we created a pacing guide of content that would be taught through that STEM kit. And here's just an example, and also a picture of some of our students as scientists as they learned during STEM class. Here are the results. In 2021, we had 71% of our students who grew from pre to post. This year, we had 64%. So our committee really dug into why. Why did we have a 7% decline? And you'll see some of that in the feedback from our teachers who gave us feedback. Even though we used state guidance about the guidebooks units to teach, it was the guidance from the state was some of the hardest novels and highest complexity of novels that were implemented at summer camp. So we attribute that to as one reason why, as well as it was so much content to try to condense to 15 days. For math, 2021 results, we had 80% of our students grew from pre to post. This year, we had 92% of our kids grew from pre to post. And we attribute that to prioritizing it down to one unit with a few standards to teach within that 15 days. Here were the site results at each site of the percentage of kids who grew pre to post. It's really outstanding. Napoleonville Middle, 100% of kids grew from pre to post in math. So we're really excited about that. Another reason we attribute the decline in ELA was that the scoring of our ELA results, we're scoring writing with a rubric, and an adjustment that needs to be made next year is that all of our teachers that teach ELA need to collaborate and score the writing collaboratively so that we're all on the same page of this is a score of a 4, this is a score of a 3, and that didn't happen. Here's some of our feedback. We sent a survey out to all of our staff members, to our parents, and even students completed a survey because we wanted their feedback to say, okay, what worked well so that next year when we plan, we're going to continue this. And then what do we need to improve so that next year when we plan, we need to make adjustments. So as you can see, our staff survey, if you combine the satisfied and extremely satisfied, we had 93.1% of our staff members satisfied and extremely satisfied with summer camp. Some highlights of what they think went well was the schedule, the Zern program, everything was organized. They had small groups to provide quality instruction. Some feedback that, of course, this isn't all of the responses, this is some, but some of the feedback that we received, they wouldn't change anything. They would want more prep time to prepare the materials. Have a fun day to celebrate success for the kids at the end, right, of all of their hard work. And a field trip for summer camp, field trips. Here's was the parent survey feedback. 100% of parents were satisfied or extremely satisfied with summer camp. Some of their reasons why, the activities that the kids did, they were so excited to go home and report to their parents about all of the fun things that they had done, the time it was set for, and all of the teachers' help. One parent said that her child didn't put up a fight to attend. They were excited with the extra incentives in STEM class and cool pops and perfect attendance treats and all of the things that we implemented in addition this year as opposed to last year. And then here's our student survey results. We had 89.5% of our students who were satisfied or extremely satisfied. Of course, you're going to see a lot of, because we implemented that STEM during specials. They said activities and games, ELA, math. Some of the things that they would change would be more recess. Of course, you know, that's always an answer from students, but quite a few said that they wouldn't change anything. So with that data, some of the strengths that we can compile are students receive STEM instruction, so we want to make sure we include that again next year. Tier 1 curriculum materials were utilized to address needs of students. Student academic progress and attendance was tracked. Of course, we always want to track that. Student incentives were given for attendance, so we want to make sure we continue that next year. An increase of 18% in student attendance. And then the overall satisfaction amongst staff members, parents, and students. Next steps for improvement. Of course, we want to really think about if the state does give guidance about implementing a guidebook unit that wasn't implemented. We want to dig into those novels, look at the complexity, and really choose the correct units to be taught. End of summer camp celebration awards ceremony. Pacing of ELA content to make sure that we prioritize the standards and the content so that we're not covering so much in ELA. And then this was a suggestion from a staff member, maybe possibly hiring student helpers to help out. That's it. Any questions?
Great job. The only thing I had a question was, I know some of the students who had scored very low were the first ones to be chosen. But I don't think it was explained to the parents that other children were able to attend. So I think that's one thing we need to work on next year, that makes sure that the parents know that just because they're not failures, they can attend it, because it's good to help them grow.
Communication, yeah. So we had to offer it to every student that attended a UIR school. Of course, that was who we recruited first, and we sent out letters to every single student. And then the state's guidance was for non-UIR schools to prioritize who you offered it to. But of course, you can always get better at your communication and be more specific.
Thank you, Brittany.
Thank you.
Nice job, and thank you and your staff for a wonderful job. And I did see the participation that came through my neighborhood, so it was real good. Thank you all very much, and I think y'all did a real good job.
Thank you, Ms. Brittany. Mr. Honorary, I also would like the board and our parents to know that this particular summer camp, as well as last summer camp and the future summer camp, was funded through ESSER. So it was 100% funded through grant funds, and it was ESSER was the funding source that we used.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you for that. Next, on the policy and procedures, authorize revision to the resolution to establish and define Assumption Parish School Board 2022 election district in accordance and with federal and state statutes, and authorize the board president to sign the updated resolution. Need a motion? Motion by Ms. Dodd, second by Ms. Uso. Those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. I have signed that resolution and forwarded it to the superintendent's office. Thank you very much. Next, receive information on 2022-2023 pupil progression plan. So I have admit card. The first of these, we'll take Ms. Patterson. No. Come on, Nikki, you can come forward. We'll get it. Please state your name and address for the records for the benefit of the.
Good evening, my name's Nikki Patterson, and I'm here to discuss the 2021-2022 pupil progression plan. Since I am not currently represented by legal counsel, I'm hoping that my concerns or public comment can address and provide some clarity that I have regarding the 2021-2022 pupil progression plan. So my public comment, my son, Gregory Patterson, I tried to readmit my son, Gregory Patterson, into the public school system in September of 2021. At that time, Gregory Patterson was administered a 7th grade diagnostic assessment through Assumption Parish School Systems. He scored a mastery in ELA and a basic in math. At that time, I was told by Superintendent Bartholomew that Gregory had not met the criteria for re-enrolling in Assumption Parish Public School Systems. So at this point in time, I want the board to help me understand where in the policy it states the criteria for a student to re-enroll from homeschool into the public school system, and what's the criteria. Gregory did not get re-enrolled because the superintendent stating that he needed 2 masteries, a mastery in ELA and a mastery in a mastery in math, in order to be re-enrolled into the school system. I searched the 2021-2022 pupil progression plan, which is currently in force since the 2022-2023 plan has not been written yet, and I did not see it. So I wanted public comment and clarity from the board to understand what was used in that decision.
So this is a public comment section, Nikki, and because of the ongoing situation right here, it's inappropriate and really unethical for the board to take a position on that for us, so you can continue public comment.
So you're saying you can't address the public comment based upon the policy as policymakers?
It's not about the policy, just that it's a public comment, and we need to keep it as such for the decorum of the meeting and stuff. So here's the thing, because there was civil rights involved and stuff like this.
I am not represented by legal counsel.
Just tell me what it is, so continue with your public comment, please.
So my public comment is my son sat out of school for an entire year because of the superintendent's desire for a student to have 2 masteries, a mastery in ELA and a mastery in math. I am not seeing that in a pupil progression plan, and that is what he's stating has been used in order to make that decision. So I'm coming before you, the board, who are policy makers and who approve the policy, to help me understand and give me clarity on how that decision was made if it's not in a pupil progression plan.
I thought the superintendent in this committee had addressed that, but you already.
No.
Yeah, so.
I would like to see it in writing. I know you're going to pull up the 2022, 2023, so if you can help me, because I didn't see it, and I want to make sure that I'm not overlooking it.
When students enroll to any district, it's not a superintendent's decision. A decision was made by a committee of educators based on the information we received. So as a result of the information we received, a ruling was administered. Now, if you disagree with that ruling, then you had the right to appeal. You appealed that decision, and it was also upheld. So the decision wasn't made based on the superintendent's decision. It was based on a committee of educators, based on the information that we received.
So was that based upon the pupil progression plan? Because that's what I'm asking. If the pupil progression plan governs this decision, then where's that information in the pupil progression plan that you're using to base your committee or leadership decision on?
I think we've heard enough, Mr. President. We allowed the public comment.
I have 5 minutes.
So we're just going to kind of end it there, Ms. Patterson, respectfully. This is not an action item, so actually it was at the discretion of the board president to even allow you to speak.
I submitted a comment for 14 days. I still have 5 minutes. I submitted a comment as parliamentary rule. I submitted my, I guess, my action item to say that I wanted to address my comment with the board within 14 days. I was told that it was 10 days. I submitted another one. So I've been submitting information for the action item, and I have not been allowed to address the board. So that's why I'm wondering, are we following policy? If I'm asking about the pupil progression policy, which governs students in Assumption Parish, and you're telling me that it was not used, that a decision from the committee was used, then are we really using the policy? Now I'm asking, okay, I've submitted information to be on the agenda within the 14 days, within the 10 days, and now you're telling me that I cannot address the board because it's a comment instead of an action item. Thank you.
Your time is expired.
But
Thank
wait,
you.
wait. Superintendent, this been going on for a year. If she doesn't have legal counsel, we can talk. Now, I saw her email in June 15th, I think, addressed to the board, to me. I found it in my spam. I sent her an email back, respond, and I apologize because it was in my spam. I never thought all of this was still going on from last year. So I reached out to her. And I apologize again and again because I didn't talk to this young lady until about July 3rd, because a lot was going on. but that's not an excuse. It's not a good excuse. So I've been talking to her, and then I found out, I thought she had legal counsel, so I'm not supposed to speak to her. I spoke to Honoré today, I was gonna speak to you, but I was at work and time caught up with me. I really think, listen to this young lady, we have a problem, and I think it should be addressed. I really didn't know this was still going on. And she should be, given, I'm on the school board, so I think I should know what's really going on, and maybe we should have the executive session or what, but she needs to be heard. I really think she hasn't been taken care of, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not saying it's to get a raise from you, don't do that, Miss Nikki, but it's really, where we need to hear her out, all the school board members, not just one or two, and the superintendent, because I really didn't know this was still going on since last year. I really didn't. And when I started my spam, I apologized to her, and I reached out to her, and it still took me, 15 days? We were back and forth. That's not good neither. And finally, I spoke to her, and I spoke to Honoré today, and I was going to speak to you. But that's when I was told, or I thought she had legal counsel, and I can't speak to, I told Nikki, I can't speak to you about legal counsel.
And I don't.
But I really think it should be addressed by all of us.
Okay, I'll take that up after discussion with the superintendent and legal counsel.
Okay.
Thank
Ms.
you.
Parris. Thank you. We also have another comment card submitted by Mr. Nicholas Ray. Please come forward.
I was looking at the new plan, that's what I came to kind of look at the new plan, which you're gonna introduce tonight. And I'm gonna just address that now, so maybe when information come, we'll have that progression plan. I understand that fourth graders take a test to go to fifth grade, standardized test, and they take the eighth grade test to go to ninth grade. But we've got 2 failing schools in the parish, and I was just concerned with where's this progression growth plan gonna be if we raise the bar? If we go from basic and then require a kid to score mastery, we still got 2 schools that are failing. We gotta figure out what's going on at these 2 schools before we raise the bar and hold these kids accountable and say, well, we changed the standard and now these kids haven't met the first standard of basic. So if you raise the bar from all basic to all mastery, then you've got 2 schools that have been failing, and some of the other schools, I don't know, may fail, but these 2 schools are failing, and we've got to get to the crux of this problem and find out why these 2 schools are failing before we raise the bar, and that's what I want to address in the new progression plan that's coming out.
Okay. Thank you, Ray, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Mr. Burgess, you have anything? Thank you, sir. How you doing?
At the very beginning of the summer, we did meet, myself and Lisa Links. We met with the Pupil Progression Committee, and special thanks to those teachers that came in. We had some administrators as well, and we also had parent representation as well. So what took place is normally when schools can submit information that possibly needs to be brought before the Pupil Progression Committee. And also we have state guidance in the form of a template that we receive every year. And these items are must appear in the Pupil Progression Plan. So what you have, and I know you do have an electronic copy, it is color-coded. Lisa was unable to make it tonight, so I'll kind of explain what you have before you. You will see in blue, anything you see in blue is district policy. You will see in blue that with yellow highlights, that is anything, a new district policy. So that's a new update as of this current summer. You will have, anything you see in black is state policy. And if you see anything in black with yellow highlights, that is state policy, that is new, that's an update. So it really wasn't a lot of change as far as pupil progression, 22, 23. We removed repeated information, of course, went through and corrected wording, I guess to make the plan more user-friendly and more easier to understand in some areas. The biggest change from the state appears on page 7, and you will see in black with yellow highlight, the state gave us some promotion guidance for 3rd grade. So that was the biggest change, I guess, from the state, focused on literacy and interventions, literacy plans for those 3rd graders who may need that extra support. So you will see that on page 7. So basically, that is the plan that is presented to you tonight for information only. You are welcome to call once you read and kind of go through. If you have any questions at all, please do not hesitate to contact myself or Lisa Links, and we will help clarify. This plan will go, I think, mid-September is submitted to the state, so we do have some time if changes need to be made or any, additions, deletions have to be made. So, any questions?
I have one question for Mr. B. Do we, any child that comes from homeschooling, are they all given a test and placed by that test? Do we do anything different from any kids that comes in from being homeschooled?
No, ma'am, we
Everyone get the same test?
We follow the same procedures. So if a student comes to us, there's an abundance of information that we take. If there's no information, then we do administer a test. So if a student comes in, we would ask for grades. We would ask for any type of activities or tests. We would ask for any additional information that we can use to make a decision to determine placement. If that information is not presented to us, then we would administer a test as well. But we do that for all students. Yes, ma'am. For information, you're talking about like educational transcripts, anything like this? Transcripts, any type of academic behavior records that we can get on that student, we would take that in consideration before we make determination of placement.
Kids are held by the same criteria as the students that's in the school system versus the kid that's homeschooled. Is that child still held by the same criteria as for passing or going from 8th to 9th and from 4th to 5th?
Once we review all of the information, I say we, because it's a school building level committee, it's a district, it's a committee that's formed to make this determination. No one individual makes this decision. Because we have to review all of the documents, we have to make a determination. Sometimes students come to us, they may be assessed on different assessments, not necessarily the assessments we have, depending on where they're coming from. But we have to take all of that in consideration to make sure that they master the standards that they need to master in order to get into the grade that they're trying to get into. So determination is made based on an abundance of information. So it's not just a test, it's transcripts, it's anything that we could possibly receive on that child to enroll them into our system. So sometimes that means we may have to take a test or information that we may not even use in our system, but they may have used it in their home study program or a different school system. Okay.
Any further questions? You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Burge, appreciate it. Next on the budget, approve the 2022-2023 salary schedule. Need a motion? Motion by Mr. Myers, second by Mr. Washington. Questions or comments? Hearing none, those in favor? Any opposed? Thank you, motion carried. Next paragraph B, authorize the superintendent to purchase Zero Eyes monitoring system. Need a motion? Motion by Ms. Uso, second by Ms. Dodd. Questions or comments?
When are we looking at, we'll get these cameras in?
Yes, I will. So the Zero Eyes monitoring system, once we get approval tonight, we're going to actually
start purchasing those tomorrow, that particular program. And then we have the cameras next. Mr. Nakhan is going to purchase those as well. They're on state contracts, so once you give me approval, we're going to go out and try to purchase those. Now, we do know that there's a lag in equipment time. I do not have the answer to that question. It all depends on the vendor. So I would have that information next board meeting to let you all know exactly when the cameras will come in. But we definitely going to order cameras for all schools and offices. So we want to make sure that we have digital cameras working properly. And not only that, with the Zero Eyes program, we're really, really excited because this will give the sheriff department an opportunity to have eyes on our campuses. So if any intruder or anyone comes on our campus with a weapon, it would immediately notify the processing center, which ultimately notify the sheriff department, our resource officer, and our principal. So this is an awesome program. I'm truly excited we have this opportunity while we continue to work towards securing our facilities.
So we're looking at getting 75 cameras?
Initially, we're looking to get 75 cameras, and then we're also going to purchase another 75. Yes, but initially, 75 cameras so we could put it online, so we could have the program up and running and working properly.
Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you, motion carried. Paragraph C, authorize the superintendent to purchase security cameras for school and office buildings. Need a motion? Motion by Mr. Robinson. Second by Ms. Uso. Questions or comments? I think the superintendent kind of somewhat went into this already. No other questions or comments? Those in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. Next, authorize the superintendent to solicit request for a proposal for contracted nursing services. Need a motion? Motion by Ms. Dot. Second by Mr. Washington. Questions or comments? Hearing none. Those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. Next, nothing on the facilities and ground. Comments or an announcement before we adjourn?
Where are we right now on cleaning our schools, self-washing our schools?
Mr. Claymore, can you come up? So, soft washing the schools. Dwayne?
Good evening, everyone. It's my understanding that bids went out. He has collected them. I have not met with him about as far as moving them. We did have over the course some young men that were started to power clean over the summer. I can get your report back on the 20th to see where everybody's at with that. I do know they did tackle a couple of different schools, but it is extremely hot right now. Some student workers that are actually pressure washing in some schools. So we're having to slow them down just because of safety reasons.
Is it fresh, is children, young kids, or we are?
Yes, we do have some student workers, but we did go out for contract also for some other jobs to try to speed up the
But
process.
we didn't put it out for bid, we just hired a contractor and they went in and did it, right?
The answer is at one time we went out for quote, but we were suggested to go out for service of a recommendation to get a quote or give opportunity for multiple quotes. I don't know what it came in at. I have not spoken to Mr. Dwayne.
We do have students who do work, and they labor work, so they do different things. So right now they may be doing some pressure washing, but that's not the pressure washing that we're talking about.
That's correct.
We're talking about professional services to come in and do a soft wash on our buildings.
what I'm talking
Yes,
about.
the
Yes,
students
there
are
are
not
some
doing that
buildings
work.
like inside of Pierre Part and some of the older buildings that we're really worried about pressure washing because we're going to ruin the buildings. So at that point, Mr. Okran was instructed to go out and look for prices to soft wash things. I'll get you an update coming up on next thing. I don't have the answer tonight, though.
I'm gonna talk to Mr. Dwayne tomorrow, and I'll give you a call to make sure.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I was told we were gonna have it done as soon as summer school was over with. That it was gonna be, y'all were gonna start doing it in different schools, as soon as summer school was over.
That is the plan, yes, ma'am. Because summer school just ended right before the 4th, so the answer is yes, yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Shannon, appreciate that. Any other comments or announcement? So, On the 11th, next Thursday, that's myself, the superintendent, will be joining Ms. Randall in Baton Rouge at the Department of Education to meet with Dr. Brumley to discuss her Eagle Award. I'll be there, God's willing. Very good, Anya. That's an international award, and it's only gone out to just a few folks in this country and stuff like that. And Anya happened to be one of the recipients who will be there. And the Secretary, Ked Brumley, has invited myself and Dr. B to be there to join in this prestigious award. So thank you much, Anya. Again, congratulations. Yeah. Yep. Nothing else, motion to adjourn. Motion by Ms. Uso, second Ms. Dot. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Motion carries.
Oh, shit, there's been a contract out there. Don't tell me there's no contract. Man, I can't stand that crap.